What's up, everyone? Welcome to Podsauce. I am Alesha Renee.
And I'm Dax Holt.
This is your podcast discovery show.
If you need a recommendation on a podcast, that is what we're here for. We're sifting through all the goodness out there and bringing you the best podcast there is to offer.
Sift through it like a vagrant goes through trash.
Oh, I was thinking... I was thinking more like a big filing cabinet, like we're sleuths and we're like sifting through each file.
Yours has a little more class to it. We'll go through that. I'm so excited today. This show is so loaded because we have some celebrities from Hollywood Raw.
I would use that term very loosely.
Well, we have Adam Glyn plus one.
I'm excited. It's one thing because, you know, we talk about podcasts every single day on this show, and to be able to bring in my podcast co-host, my other, you know, my podcast husband, you're my podcast wife, so we're going to bring you guys together. But no, I'm excited because, you know, we have a great podcast, and I've never been able to really show people how awesome it is.
I think what I love about your podcast, and I probably should save it, you know, until we have Adam Glyn here, just so I can like gussy y'all up collectively because it won't happen again.
I can only give you so much goodness.
There's only so many flowers I can throw y'all's way. But I just love that it gives me that quick bit of what's going on with our favorite's favorite without feeling like I'm being intrusive or, you know, what's the word, overzealous when it comes to my celebrity lifestyle. And I really, really love that about your podcast. You guys actually beat me to the draw because you were going to be my podcast pick of the week, as Angie can tell you. But it's okay. I may surprise you with an episode.
Feel free to still recommend it later in time. It's that good, guys.
But you know what I really love, though? I love your Odd Pod pick of the week because you usually come in with something really strange. What you got for me today? Well, strange, but sometimes good.
This one is wacko.
Talk to me.
And it is probably one of the best Odd Pods.
Okay.
Angie recommends this one.
I like the way you threw her on the bus quick. So this is from Angie.
Because I wouldn't be listening to this by myself. No,
Fair.
So my Odd Pod pick of the week this week is called Everything is Alive.
Okay.
So this is an unscripted interview show with all subjects that are inanimate objects.
Okay. Like
right.
Ken dolls?
Everything. Each episode, a different thing, telling its life story. So I listened to an episode about a paper towel dispenser. The guy had an interview with a paper towel dispenser. It was a 20-minute interview talking about its life and how it became. It was so weird. I'm just sitting here the whole time like, what is happening right now, and why are people listening to this?
So you mean like the invention of the paper towel dispenser? Or so
No,
like how did you come about?
Like the guy is talking to it as if it has feelings and emotions and can speak back.
So he's like,
Yeah.
And when people put a paper towel
When
on
they
you,
wave their hands under, I dispense, or I, it's so weird.
He's not on a
It's
5150?
So weird. No, and the other one, I listened.
like a 5150.
There was one about a tattoo. He was having an interview with literally a tattoo on someone's body. That one was a little funnier because the tattoo was coming to grips with the guy who was going to be basically having him laser removed off his body.
No! Stay with me. I was with you on your 21st birthday.
It was so wild, but there's so many. There's an interview with a vending machine, a pacifier, a Sharpie, a pregnancy test.
Oh, no, thank you.
They go on and on. So that is my Odd Pod pick of the week. If you're looking for something super bizarre, check out Everything is Alive.
You guys can go to podsauce.com where you can get a link to the episode that Dax watched, and maybe you'll thank him later. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is Podsauce.
Welcome back to Podsauce. It is time, Alesha. It is time for your pick of the week.
You're welcome.
And I feel that because I brought so many good things to the table, that this week is really your turn to shine.
It's so convenient how my time always has to be about your time. I'm starting to notice a trend here, and I want it
that
to...
I bring so much goodness to the table.
So, back to my pick. Walk with me.
What you got for me?
The secret room.
Okay.
So, do you remember the, I think it was like Mr. Anonymous, the phone call joint that I brought to the table like not that long ago. So this is kind of like in that same vein. I love when people do trickery and tomfoolery in the cut, and then they just want to tell somebody. It's kind of like we're their priest. and they want to unburden themselves. So
Is it unburden or like say how good they've done? Like
No. It's murders. It's prostitution.
yeah. Okay, never mind.
No.
They don't want to boast. Well, maybe they do want to boast if that's what their life
It's not
is.
necessarily boasting. It's just Okay, so take for instance the episode that I listened to was called "Sketchy Things," and this is about this young lady named Rebecca who was stuck between a rock and a hard place. In some way, somehow, she ended up taking this job that had her, be a carrier for a particular, because I don't want to give too much context because you need to hear it. But long story short, she ended up getting a hit put on her by the Italian mob.
Oh.
Get into it. Then there's another episode called Hillbilly Bonfire. What happens when you poke too many holes in mom's diaphragm? Well,
Wow.
I can tell you what happens.
You get a brother.
You get a brother that you might not have asked for.
And why are you touching mom's diaphragm?
Why are you touching?
Is this with gloves? Like, what's happening right now?
What are we doing? But sir, knock it all the way off. But
And what is this, 1934?
was any of it real? That's an episode. Also, this is where, again, we're back with another person named Rachel. Sorry, this is Rachel. The other one was Rebecca. I'm getting my white people mixed up. She talked about her first love, introduced her to a polyamorous relationship, but the only problem is it was fake. So she was in a relationship and she was getting catfished at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the secret room is talking to people that have been in these weird, bizarre
The
situations.
most weird, bizarre situations, and they're wondering, like, is it real? I would say, I know you like to get in and get out, right? There's 150 episodes. They range from 60 minutes to 90 minutes. But
Nope.
hear me now.
Nope.
But hear me now.
Who's got time for that?
Some people. It's like watching an episode of Law and Order on X, right? So,
It's like watching 3 episodes of Law and Order.
well, Law and Order is 60 minutes. So it really is like watching an episode of Law and Order, but it's so well produced, Dax, like, and so good. And some of these stories, like, they have so many twists and turns. It's like a beautiful rabbit hole and a train wreck at the same time that you just can't turn away
Okay, so
from.
if you were going to tell me to listen to one episode, which one? You think
I
the
would
one you
say-
listened to? Or is there another title that
I
jumps
would say start
out?
off with Hillbilly Bonfire.
Okay.
And then worm your way over to Sketchy Things. Yes.
Hillbilly Bonfire.
And then Sketchy Things.
Okay, I
Yep.
got it.
Yep.
Sketchy Things.
So if you guys want to find out more about my pick, The Secret Room. Let me look at my camera. The Secret Room. And head over to podsauce.com.
So I got to say, Alesha, you brought the fire this week. I'm happy with it.
Know this, man. Okay? Talking about the words of Chris Tucker.
Head on over to podsauce.com, sign up for our newsletter. That way you can get hand-delivered recommendations straight from myself and Alesha on all the good things that are out there.
I'm not hand
Don't
delivering.
go anywhere.
I'm not
This is
delivering anything.
Podsauce.
I'm not delivering anything. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Podsauce, your podcast discovery show. I'm Alesha Renee.
And I'm Dax Holt.
Ah.
You are ready for this one, aren't you?
It's like I am, and I'm like,
Are you a little nervous? Is this kind of putting you on the spot a little bit?
kind of, because, I like to ride on your back like a good little koala and just kind of coast. But now I feel like I got to actually work.
You gotta work.
Damn it, man. We're so excited. We as in him
Me and Alesha.
and me. It's no, I'm a little bitter because I was going to have you as my podcast pick of the week, but this
You
is
still
even
can.
better because now we have both.
I got Adam Glyn, who is
Yes.
my podcast co-host for Hollywood Raw, here with us. By the way, take your shoes off.
I
What
didn't
are
know
you
if I was
doing?
supposed to.
It is time to
Wait.
get comfy.
I just got these sneakers too. I was ready to show them off. But all
Wait,
right.
it's so funny though
I did. These are
because
new.
this feels weird because technically you're our guest today.
That is true.
So I think, Adam, you should sit here.
Okay.
And then I'm
do
going to scurry
All right.
over here
Yeah.
where I can be the queen of the castle.
It's kind of weird to be on this side
Yeah.
of it.
So weird, right?
All right.
And if
Should I just put my notes away?
I would.
All right, let's
Flip
do
those
it.
things over so we still brand it. You know what I'm saying?
Like-
Hot sauce. There we go. We have to still be on our job. Guys, Hollywood, we have the hosts of Hollywood Raw. We have Dax Holt, Adam Glyn. Hi, guys.
Hello.
What's happening?
Welcome
Thanks for having
to
me.
Hot Sauce.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me and me again.
It is my pleasure to be with you twice talk to me. Give everyone who may not be familiar with Hollywood Raw, give me the elevator pitch. Go.
So Hollywood Raw podcast, we've been doing this for 2.5, 3, close to 3 years now, getting there. And then it's, we like to say is we humanize Hollywood. We reveal the fourth wall of Hollywood. We talk to celebrities, but not just celebrities. We talk to the bodyguards, to the paparazzi, to, I mean,
basically anyone that's interesting in Hollywood, we want to talk to them. And it may not be the biggest A-list name, but it might be people with amazing stories. And that's why I said like paparazzi. We get some of the most fascinating stories from paparazzi because of what they've lived through, the experiences they've had. And you know, they have a different relationship with celebs. And sometimes you want to investigate those relationships.
Now, a lot of people are very familiar with you both from TMZ. So what makes what you did over there different from this space that you're occupying with Hollywood Raw?
Well, now it's like, for me, I'm still running around the streets with my camera. I'm a street journalist. I'm a video journalist. I run around the streets doing celebrity interviews in New York City. And now I'm able to kind of talk to you about the backstory of these interviews, how I got them. And then also, we have guests on these shows who, I mean, I do these interviews, I get maybe 2 minutes on the street, but now I'm able to have long-form interviews with these people, but also understand the business more. I think the people that listen to the show, it's a lot of people in the industry, but a lot of people are big Hollywood fans. They get to kind of they get to hear the backstory of Hollywood and hear about how the biggest stories came out and how people kind of play around with the industry, how they play around with the paparazzi and how they take advantage of the paparazzi. Sometimes the paparazzi take advantage of the celebrities, and how basically how the industry works.
I think what I've always described it is when I was at TMZ, I was constantly talking about celebs. You know, I was in the bullpen, the newsroom, and talking to Harvey and talking to everyone about the celebs. And with Hollywood Raw, I'm talking to the celebs directly, and we get to have the conversation and see what was going through their mind at, you know, a moment in time, or how they got into the industry, what the audition process was like when they landed their biggest roles, or, you know, we play games with them. We have a really good time, and I think the best thing that, like Adam says, is we humanize them.
I was about to say, what is the process like when you guys are sitting with big names? Because you guys have had everyone from Carol Baskin to, what's Hulk Hogan's daughter's name? I forgot. Brooke Hogan, because you know when Hulk Hogan showed his I chose to just let the whole Hogan family go out the window. But so what is the intentionality that you guys take into every interview with you? Is it to humanize the celebrity aspect, or?
I mean, you know, the thing is, I always approach it as like we're in the same field, we're in the same industry. Yeah, they're a big star, they probably make a lot more money than us, but we're in the same industry. So it's cool to understand both sides of the industry and then to ask us questions and learn about what we do and also to learn about what they do. Like Dax said, it's like, you know, I don't want to hear about like the character they play. I want to hear about how you got the job. Like how does the industry work? And that's what we do. We make you understand the business, and it's fun. It's exciting. It's interesting. We always say if they're on the show, it's because they're interesting.
Well, it's funny because Adam, being a photojournalist and being out on the street, he comes up with the most amazing questions all the time. Like, you know, the typical questions is like, what movie are you promoting, or what was it like in the movie? Adam is like, hey, I want to know how the craft services table was like while filming that movie. And it's like, I didn't know I wanted to know that question.
It's so stupid, but it's like, yeah, I want to know what kind of food they had on set. You know, like when you go to the Academy Awards, like when you go to the bathroom, is there a bunch of celebrities in the urinals next to you? Like that's the stuff I'm curious about.
I'm laughing because it's true.
It's so dumb and basic, but it's interesting. I'm curious, and that's where it comes. I think a lot of the questions come from curiosity. And again, my way of doing interviews are very quick and fast because, again, I'm a paparazzi on the street of New York City. I'm a street journalist. That's what I do. But now I'm able to kind of slow down and ask these questions, be able to like have candid conversations with these people and kind of understand their world a lot more.
But when you take it from that approach, Adam, it really like disarms them and allows them to, and one, it's such a funny question, and I say funny because like Vanessa Williams, I did this shoot with her. I did drop that name. I did.
Yeah, here you go.
Nope, leave it right. Leave it right there. But one of the things that she told me, because I got really sick on the set of Kenan, and she was like, oh, honey, you never eat the seafood. But no one ever told me that because I'm a bootleg pescatarian, you know? So like when you ask them questions like that, it humanizes them, but it disarms them and allows them to.
Well, it also gives you amazing stories. So like if we were interviewing you and you dropped that gem right there about how you got sick off the craft table, it's interesting. People love hearing it. And we have got some of the most fascinating stories from huge celebrities out there. And it's just because you take the time to have that in-depth interview. But we've also had hard interviews. Like we had Kristen Doty on right after she was fired from Vanderpump Rules. She had a racist comment that came out, and we talked to her. And we didn't give her this fluffy interview. We really put her feet to the coals and said, hey, what have you learned from these actions and from what your words say? And it turned out to be an amazing interview.
Yeah.
And the one thing I took away from that was, I think Bravo really should have kept her on the show and watched the process and educated America along with her. And I think that could have been a really good moment, a teachable moment that they dropped the ball on.
It's such a weird dynamic to hear that too, though, because on one hand, you obviously want consequences for actions, and we see oftentimes celebrities get away with highway robbery, but on the other hand, I can understand the sentiment of...
I think there's a lot of people that may not realize the unconscious bias, and maybe they could have learned from her mistake, if that makes sense. And maybe they fire her at the end of the day, but I think there's a huge group of people that need that education. And so what better way than to really shove it in their face?
So maybe the contrition is you stay on, but you do it for free.
Ooh!
Because why pay? Because otherwise you're rewarding. Yeah, because do you?
I don't know how that works.
But I think that's a great way. Is yep, now you're going to be on here and you're going to learn with America, but you're not going to get paid to be on here. I think that's.
And then if you stay on, then it shows true contrition, because obviously there's that. Why are we rewarding bad behavior? You still get the outlet, you still get the opportunities, you're still getting paid, and so are you really feeling what you're saying? Is when you say, "Oh, I've reformed and I've learned and this, that, and the third."
But the interesting part is when she came on, it was, yes, we had our own opinions about that, but also how she got laid off from Bravo. How'd she find out the news, where she was, and basically what she told us is they called her, they let her know, the lawyers called to let her know, and then right away there's a press release all about it, and it's just she's just
basically
fed to the media. She found out just like we all did, pretty much. It was just right away, and it's a lot to handle. I mean, we kind of, again, it's a tough situation, but you kind of feel for her in some ways, where just what's going on through her head during that time in her life. She just fired off one of the biggest shows in the world, and she finds out with the rest of America, and now she has to walk out her door knowing that life's not the same anymore. Life's going to be different. People are going to look at her with a much different perspective now.
Guys, we are a podcast discovery show, as somebody knows. What would be your podcast recommendations for people who need a little extra help in that department? What podcast are you listening to right now?
Well, I am listening to a lot of podcasts
Give me your top two, Dax, because I believe in this episode we already got one of your picks. So.
Well, I feel like my podcast we already know. Adam, do you have any podcasts?
I say, Aren't You Garbage? Are You Garbage podcast is really good. It's a comedy one. These guys are hysterical. Two super funny comedians. It's really creative. The Full Send podcast is great. They're getting crazy guests. They've had Jake Paul to Mike Tyson to Shaq on, and they get really good interviews.
Break down the Are You Garbage podcast for me, because just the title alone.
It's so funny because these two comics, they're so funny, and they talk to guests and they just ask the most random questions. It makes you question yourself if you grew up garbage. Like, for example, they say if you're at a restaurant, when you're done with dinner, do you stack up your plates at the end? It's wait, do I do that? Am I garbage? I don't know. It's just one of those things where
I stack my plates.
You want to help out the server. That's what you want to do. I question myself.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on Podsauce. We got Adam Glyn, Dax Holt, hosts of Hollywood Raw. And if you guys want to find out more about their podcast, Dax, tell them where to go, because I'm going to keep you humble.
Head on over to podsauce.com. We will have a link there straight to Hollywood Raw, so you guys can check out my podcast. And it's been fun being able to talk about my podcast. We do this, we talk about everyone else's, so it's been fun to be able to talk about mine, because I have so much fun doing it with Adam. And it's kind of fun to have my podcast wife and husband meet.
Hi, boo.
Don't go anywhere, guys. We will be right back. This is Podsauce. Welcome back to Podsauce. God, the show flew by.
It did, and that's what they say. It goes by when you're having fun.
Which we have a lot of. Well,
Why did you point at me so aggressively? Don't we, Alesha?
You say yes. You tell them that I am fun to be around.
We have so much fun here, guys.
Okay.
You know when they say blink if you need help?
Yeah, blink,
Send help.
blink 47 times. All right, we need some true crime up in here before we go, and that
you
is
should ask.
your thing.
Funny you should ask. Fake Heiress, a true crime podcast. Here we go.
Fake heiress. All right. Okay.
What I like about this, it's a true story, but they kind of like put it together in the context of like a scripted series. People are acting out and playing these different characters. So it starts off with 6 episodes, less than 35 minutes, so it's already up your alley. Anna Delvey was due to come into 67 million of them things, right?
Okay.
She had this whole plan of like having her foundation going. She had champagne parties. It was flowing, you know, sending money to this person and sending money to that person, having so many other wealthy people donate and like benefact her organization, her charitable organization, only to find out
It was all fake.
the heifer was really, what's her name? Anna Sorkin, who was a magazine intern. You know, it's only white people. Only white people can get away with the big hustle like this. So she, you know, claimed that she was a multimillionaires.
Yeah.
And was able to con people out of millions of dollars.
Wow.
I'm gonna let you guys check out Fake Heiress so you can find out how it all unraveled. But again, what I really loved about this, the actor in me appreciated this podcast because it's a true story, but it was told through the eyes of like people acting it out.
Yeah.
So it's like a show within the show.
I like it. Sounds interesting to me.
So
I like
good.
that kind of stuff.
So
I
good.
like those like, well, you know me. I'm into like heists and
Yeah,
stuff,
you
and
are.
that's a little heisty.
It's very heisty.
So
Yeah.
I
Because
will.
no one turned up dead. But it's got good layers to it, honey. Good layers.
Well, good recommendation. I
Yeah.
love the true crime podcast. Big thanks to my podcast co-host Adam Glyn for joining us today.
Big
to talk
thanks
about
to my podcast co-host for the work that he does on Hollywood Raw.
Thank you.
Come on
I
now.
appreciate that. And if you guys want more Podsauce in your life, head on over to podsauce.com where we got everything right
we
there,
go.
all the links, everything we've talked about today and previous shows. You can watch them there. We've got a digital version on YouTube. You
Yeah.
can find us on all social medias under the Podsauce. You can find me at Dax Holt.
And you can find me at I Am Alesha Renee. Until next time, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Be good to yourselves.